Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I was wondering what first drew you towards teaching meditation and mindfulness specifically to children?
Uh, I feel that we need to start early to avoid things that happen to us as adults. I worked with adults for a number of years, and I realized, what we all carry from childhood. We carry a lot of stuff, a lot of things that we internalize, and then we are running in an automatic pilot. So I figured, uh, from eight, when you're young, you're being told no a lot, and you're being taught what to do, what not to do, how to feel, what to think, and you're measuring everything in with the outside world. So you're trying to copy people around you, imitate friends, and the importance of going within and trusting your inner guidance, or even knowing about the inner compass, is essential. Because if we don't do this with young children, then of course you will grow up to be the way most of us are. And that is a lot of self-defeating thoughts, self-sabotage, insecurities. That's for the healthiest of us. And then some other people would also suffer from anxiety, depression, and all kinds of things. And I believe that all those things can be avoided if you learn early on, um, how to tap into the power that we have inside. So that's what draw me to it. I think it's
Yeah.
not, it's not addressed as it should be. It's essential. Um,
Is there something that working with children taught you about the mind, um, that working with adults might not have, that maybe adults miss or that they forget?
well, yeah, I think a lot of problems that we have as adults are rooted in the lack of self knowledge and self love, and that started early on in life. So if you, as a child, when you were 5 years old, if you started looking at yourself in the mirror when you brush your teeth in the morning and saying something positive, if you started having a gratitude practice daily, if you were encouraged to sit with your thoughts and go within and breathe and notice how your body is here to help you, how just breathing deeply makes you change how you feel. And if those things were presented to you, then when you grow older, maybe you, no, maybe for certain, most certainly, you'll be less prone to anxiety, depression, and self-sabotage in general.
And when you work with children, what do you notice that sometimes they understand intuitively that maybe adults can forget?
Right. Well, yes. The kids, when I come to a classroom and I present the activity, they take it in with such ease, super fast. And I do believe that this is because, well, they just came from the non physical, they're brand new. So they're getting used to using their bodies, but using their mind and being in touch with their inner guidance, with their soul, is not that foreign for them. And so this is easy. So it's very easy for them to tap into that and actually meditate. It's easier than it is for adults. And that's exactly what I'm trying to prevent. I want to prevent kids to lose that. As we grow older, we are trained to use our brains and overuse our intellect for every decision. And we forget that we are all knowing, that we have inner guidance, that we have an inner compass. With the kids, they know it intuitively, instinctively, and they take it in like a sponge. It's it's a very gratifying feeling when I'm in a classroom with 20 new kids that never met me before, they never done this before, and to see the ease, how easily and how fast they do the activity.
How would you say a child's relationship with their emotions changes between, say, early childhood, middle childhood, and more in their teen?
Well, when a child is young, they're learning how to live, and I think they're learning about emotions still. So they still don't really know and they don't understand. And by the time they're teenagers, certain emotions are heightened. They become they become bigger than other things, right? They feel very deeply. And then as we grow into adults, an adult is now trained to suppress those emotions. They're doing things constantly and very preoccupied with succeeding at work or succeeding with the family, and achieving and accomplishing things, and filling up their schedules with things, which makes them suppress and ignore their emotions, which also then generates certain physical disease, illness, ulcerous problems, heart problems, etc. So when they're very young, the emotions are just a blur at this point. And by starting to talk about them and paying attention to them. So with the mindfulness program, what we do is just pay attention to what's happening right now. So the young kids can really pay attention to the emotions, have respect for it, acknowledge them once again. So then when we grow older, you're not pulling it under the rug and ignoring it, which creates, problems.
How do children learn emotional regulation? Would you say it's mainly something that's taught or more modeled? You talked about imitation a little bit earlier. How do you think that's passed through?
So what do you mean by emotional regulation? Emotional regulation, I know it's everybody's
I would
talking about
say
it.
being aware of your emotions and maybe being able to um, eh, I wanted to say maybe control, but maybe
Okay, you're
that's
right.
not the right word for it.
I know, because that's what it feels like people are looking for. So a few things are happening. So nowadays, I don't know why this happened, but it happens. Adults seem to want to control their kids and want the kids to be nice and calm and quiet, which is already a fallacy. It's an unhealthy expectation and want. Still, they have it and they do it. And you will see kids in a restaurant with a tablet, right? They're always playing a tablet
Right.
because a parent cannot tolerate the kid being a kid, having being a menace, jumping around or being bored or being annoying, for lack of better words. So yeah, there's this, there's this exaggerated need of controlling everything, and the regulating of the emotions. I think many times this is what they have in mind. Can you calm yourself down? I am against this. I'm against the introducing this activity for the purpose of calming down, because it's ridiculous. If you're having a moment, if you are frustrated, if you're upset, be upset, experience that emotion. Being mindful is acknowledging the emotion, is being aware that you have an emotion, whatever that may be, whether it's negative or positive, or annoying or uncomfortable. So when we say regulate, what we do is we train the kid to sit by themselves daily and have an experience of breathing deeply and going within and experience themselves, how they feel, just by breathing deeply, perhaps doing a guided meditation, perhaps doing a mindfulness meditation. And then later, in turn, when they are feeling stress or overwhelmed, they know that they can choose to sit down, close their eyes, take a deep breath, and self regulate. And that's the hope, that's the goal. Um, that's the self regulation. You teach your kid that they have this ability, just like they have the ability to tie their shoes. Yes, someone else could tie them for them, but once you learn how to tie your shoes, you can do it. You can tie your shoes. You can choose not to and have mommy do it, but why would you do that? This is the same. If you're having, listen, we all have difficult emotions. And once again, just, turn, just, you cannot turn them off. You have to let them be. And then, you know,
What
let
do you think is the difference between calming a child down and kind of helping a child understand themselves?
yes, you nail it. Exactly right. Thank you. That was good. Yes. You, as a parent, as a teacher, you cannot calm anyone down. Relax. Just breathe. You, as a parent or a caregiver, my advice would be just breathe, count till 10 or whatever. No one trusts that it will pass. And let them have the emotion. You can hug them, you can hold them. I don't know, you can do whatever feels right. But don't try to change the emotion.
And
Because it's
how would you,
you.
yeah,
Mhm.
sorry, how would you help or maybe give children the confidence without encouraging that avoidance, like the more difficult emotions?
How do you give the kids the
Uh,
confidence? Well, they achieve the confidence on their own by presenting the activity. So my suggestion, my proposal is, as a teacher or caregiver, to introduce the activity daily. Like we introduce brushing our teeth or showering, this is the same. So when the kid goes within and they connect with their inner compass, with their inner guidance, there's nothing else you need to say or to do. He knows. What happens when we go within, when we discover who we are and our power and how our body works, it's it's miraculous. It's magnificent. So you don't need to convince or explain or tell the kid you can do it. They know this. They know in their gut, in their heart. So that gives them incredible confidence. This is the best kind of confidence. Now they can achieve, they can accomplish their goals.
What
Yeah.
does confidence mean also in childhood? Do you think it's more self-esteem, or is it self-trust, emotional safety, or is it something
Yeah, it's all
deeper?
of the above. It is emotional safety, it is self-trust, and it is self-esteem. Self-esteem is a big one. We are bombarded with a lot constantly, and people will criticize you no matter who you are. Um, Peers, others. We're constantly comparing ourselves to others. And that's the same when you're 7 years old. It's not different. Yeah, the way you're dressed, the way your parents dress you, the way they, whatever they can afford to, there's so many things. So going within and gaining confidence in who you are inside, is key. Because if you don't do this, yes, all the external world will get the better of you.
Mm.
There's so many
And
variables.
what do you think is the role of play, if any, in mindfulness? Does it have a role?
Yes, of course. Of course, and that's what's missing. This is why it's so easy to do it with kids and not so much with adults. And adults say, I can't meditate. It's because we've lost that. The playing is so important. And when a kid plays, they are present. It is the ultimate mindfulness. They are in their bodies, they're present, and they're being the game. That's very powerful, and we need to do more of that. We adults, we need to play. It's just like I say, introduce mindfulness daily to kids. It's really important. Is mental hygiene. You should do it. For adults, I would say introduce play daily, sing a song, dance, or if you could do some kind of team sports, basketball, volleyball, something that makes you jump around, run around, and interact with others. That is extremely healthy and very healing for the soul, for the human.
Is is there a way that you would introduce mindfulness differently based on a child's age? Like, say, if they were 5 versus 10 versus a little bit older, or is it, like you said, just something that you do gradually that you introduce
Yeah,
like,
so
as a daily habit?
the only difference, right? So when they are younger, you don't need to explain too much. You speak less. You introduce the activity, tell them what we're doing, and then they do it. They go within, and things just happen. It's great. That's why I insist on starting at 5 years old. That's the perfect age. For an older kid, for 9-year-olds, they're already incredibly. It's just anyway. They're skeptical. They're a bit cynical already. And so in this case, it is important to explain more the benefits of it, why we do it, and walk them through it a little more of a body scan and step by step what we feel when we the mindful breathing portion of it, so they can truly assess and discover how the body works. So when we do this, really the goal is for the person to have the experience, and you would never want to convince anybody, but explaining it, like setting it up, is important for all their kids. um
Could
yeah
you go a little more in depth into the actual practice? For example, when a child is maybe angry, ashamed, or scared, or just overstimulated, how is it to prevent that from happening, or how would you go about introducing mindfulness in that situation?
yeah, I do not introduce mindfulness when a kid is upset, angry, or having a temper tantrum. That's the worst time. You introduce it when they are calm already, before they go to bed, or when they wake up in the morning and they start the day. The idea is to start the day in a positive way and let them know that everything's okay, everything will work out. If the kid is already having a bad, temper tantrum or a meltdown, um, I don't think this would work. Um, I don't think it'll. I mean, I've been with kids. I work with kids a lot, and when they had an episode like that, all I did is just wait, and then they'll once they calm down, then you can do some kind of activity. And I like to do a guided meditation and to play music. I think that's healing, and it's really magical in many ways. It's a little more effective than just a breathing meditation, because it almost brings them back like when they were babies and the parents were putting them to sleep and they play a lullaby and they're rocking them. So it's all about the feeling of comfort and safety. And if you're having if you're having a meltdown, you cannot jump that in there. I don't think.
And do you think what can a parent do to repair after they lose patience or if they respond harshly?
Oh, well, if you're a parent and you lost your patient, that's okay. Don't be too hard on yourself. I would, you as an adult, now you can practice a few deep breaths, some deep breathing, calm yourself down, and then verbalize how you feel and what you've done. And that's okay. So just, I mean, obviously, if you scream at someone and the person is 5 years old and they feel like scared about your reaction, that just happened. You cannot change that. It happened. It's okay. It happens to all of us. It's very normal. Don't torture yourself. It's okay. You can still verbalize your regret after the fact, after you took a few breaths, and explain, I was scared, because that's really why you react that way. I was afraid, or it'll be good to use words like that instead of just saying I was angry. Angry is never well received by a kid. It's scary. And it's difficult to understand. Why are you angry? But if you explain as a parent that underneath all that frustration and anger, there is fear, which there is, then it's more relatable. It's better.
And do you think mindfulness practice is also something that you can do together as a family? Is it something you can practice in that way?
Yes, of course. Yes, practicing mindfulness as a family would be ideal. And if you decide to go that route as a parent, I encourage you, don't force them to do it. You do it. You present, again, you present the activity, and you tell them they're free to wander off and do something else if they don't want to do this, but you will do it. And it's really important that they see you sitting down and having your moment, closing your eyes, and 5 minutes. Don't be, I know for kids, I mean, as adults, you might want to meditate for 20 minutes. You can do your thing, but young kids, we start slow. We start with 5 minutes. And it's important that they see you so then they can model it. And yeah. And if I encourage family practices after dinner, before you go to bed, or during dinner. Gratitude, mindfulness of gratitude practice is very important. Forcing everybody to see the positive in everyday things that we usually don't notice and don't appreciate. So yes, definitely that is the healthiest of approaches.
And how can schools introduce meditation without making it feel forced or kind of like performative?
Oh, okay. Well, I definitely encourage people to check out my YouTube channel, Veronica Moya, or Mindful V. I created a playlist specifically for teachers for schools, and it's 5 minutes mindful mornings. It's super easy. It starts with a stretch, and all teachers can try it and do this. We do a quick stretch, one positive affirmation to start the day, and then we do 2 minutes of closing your eyes and breathing, and we do a guided meditation. So for the teachers, I notice if they are into it, if they understand the benefits of it, they can do this very organically, and you do it just like you do the Pledge of Allegiance or anything else you're teaching. Because again, it is mental hygiene, and it is essential to start learning. You need to start with a good base. You need to be grounded. There's no other way of getting grounded other than being purposeful. And taking a few deep breaths is not force, it's not, sticky, it's just basic. It's basic hygiene. Take a deep breath 3 times. Focus on, having a productive, successful day. And, because in the classroom setting, you don't know what anybody's going through at home. Some kids have really tough home lives. Their parents are overwhelmed, they're overworked, they're, very stressed with money problems or other stuff, siblings, in-laws, so many things. So you as a teacher, when you give the kids the opportunity to sit, relax, take a deep breath, and bring something positive to their minds before they start the day, you're giving them a gift.
And I think that's beautiful. How do you think a child's nervous system can become a storyteller in a way as they grow?
Storyteller? How can they become a storyteller?
Or how does their how does their nervous system, their emotion, become a storyteller?
I don't know. I don't know that I understand the question. I don't know. Oh, okay. Okay, I think I do. Um, so I think you mean the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories they tell
I
are
guess
different.
yes, exactly like the
Right.
story, the way that we talk
Perceive
to
the
like our
world.
inner voice, or in a sense like that part of the inner compass. How does it
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's great. Oh, now if that, yeah, that is a good question, actually. Oh, can you imagine? Yes, if you're, so that is perfect. We see the world the way we see it, the way we experience ourselves and everything, right? You can be positive or you can be negative. You can see everything working out for you or not. So by going within, by learning to trust yourself, to love yourself, to be in love with who you are, to be confident. Oh, of course, you're going to tell a much different story. You're not going to, yeah, you're not going to focus on the gloom and doom, but you're going to be more purposeful on your mission. You're going to do things from a different place, not, as a problem solver, but as a creator, because you have beauty inside that needs to come out and you want to express. Oh, completely. It's like day and night. It's a different society, right? If everybody were to take the time to love themselves.
Yeah, and follow their inner compass. H-
Yes.
how do you think adults learn from the way children naturally process emotion before they're taught to, like you said at the beginning, suppress or kind of forget that part of themselves?
Well, for adults, they have to be willing to do the work. And it might feel a tall order at first. But yes, going within, starting a practice would be important. And like I said, play or singing. If you can't play is difficult, right? As an adult, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm realistic, but at least you need to start doing stuff that are good for the soul. If you don't, it's so easy for adults to minimize and ignore the need of a little caress, a little self-love, and yeah, we just keep doing and doing and doing. So I would say singing is important, going for walks. Yeah, the goal is to be able to live more like a child and not so dependent on what everybody else is doing. We're truly constantly performing, trying to be something, whatever that may be. And yeah, and that's poison. It's very harmful
How
for
do you
this.
think an adult can begin to kind of reparent the parts of themselves that n- never really learned that emotional safety, or kind of like forgot it? I think,
Well, if you have kids,
mindfulness.
yeah, you can do it with your kids by teaching them and watching them and seeing. You can learn from them because, like I said, they just came from the other side. So kids are big teachers. They're really good. So if you pay attention and, by doing the opposite of what has been done with you, that's a big repair. It's very healing. If you don't have kids, I find that, what is it? Hypnosis can help. Um, Hypnosis, healing, Reiki, mindfulness. You have to be willing to do the work. I wouldn't, I personally don't recommend talk therapy so much, but more moving the body and going within and being mindful of what's happening for you. And again, we want to move forward, right? So just, I find that therapy tends to just continue to, uh, talk about the past and being very regretful and blaming and finger pointing and all that is unnecessary. So yes, by practicing mindfulness and gratitude and staying present. So mindfulness is the art of paying attention to what's happening right now. And that's huge. If you could master the now and just focus on now and be present, that is very healing. That's how you start repairing whatever happened in the past, not by going back to the past, I would say.
And what role do you think imagination can play in healing or emotional integration for children?
Imagination is huge. It plays a big role. Yes. This is what we do. When we do the guided meditations. That's what it's all about. And then we plant the seeds and we teach uh, people that they can visualize, they can imagine an outcome, and then they can achieve it. And it starts with imagination.
And how can parents honor a child's intuitive or imaginative life without projecting kind of their adult beliefs onto them?
Ah, that's a very good question. Well, again, they'll have to know and trust that the kid. So yeah, this is a tall order. I shouldn't say that, but yeah, parents do tend to put all their fears and all their stuff into their kids out of concern. But they have to understand that the kid is a completely different person, soul, entity, and they have their own journey and their own choices of experiences that they will have. So they have nothing to do with that. And they do need to be more of an observer other than an educator. If you believe and if you trust and if you understand that we are self-healing and all-knowing, that we are wise, so your 5-year-old is wise, is as wise as you are. They may not know a lot of things from about this world, and that's fine, but they know what they need to know. So as a parent, you have to know and trust that they will be okay instead of trying to jam in everything that you think is right or they should do or shouldn't do, right? So if you are depending on, every parent is different, but every parent has an idea of how what is right for their kid. Well, you don't know what is right for your kid. Truly, all you should be doing is taking care of the basics and keeping them safe. That means well fed, dressed in a nice, comfortable environment. And that's pretty much it. And send them to school, and then they will find their way. They will grow up to be who they are meant to be. Your job as a parent is to guide them, to watch them, observe, and don't interfere unless it's dangerous, right? If they're going to a pool that's deep and they don't know how to swim, yeah, you grab them, don't let them go in the pool, obviously. But other than things like that, you have to have more faith and more trust in the soul's journey.
And do you think, sorry, I cut you off there.
No, that's okay. I just think it's hard to do for parents. Parents always think they know what's right and what's best. It's hard to let them choose.
Play or, yeah.
Yeah, like whatever, depending on the culture, right? Sometimes they're, so I've met kids that had no childhood, that they were, we were, one time we were sitting at a restaurant, and you know how they give you those pads with the crayons for coloring, and
Yes.
it was my friend's kid. He's a 9-year-old boy, and he's like, oh no, I don't. He behaved like an adult, and with disgust he dismissed the activity, like that was too beneath him, too childish for him. And well, that's sad. I don't know where that came from, but anyway, and he's an overachiever, but that creates, when so the parents, I'm sure, are very happy because the kid is a genius and is doing very well. And the parents are always obsessing about their future and where they'll go in life and what they will accomplish. And they forget that the emotional portion of it is just as important. You can have CEOs that, are miserable and end up, well, anyway, I don't want to get too dark, but yeah, don't forget the emotional part, and don't forget to include everything. Playing is part of it. Playing is important. Meditation is important. Study is important. It's a combination.
Yeah,
Mind,
balance.
body. Hmm?
A balance. Yeah.
Mhm. Yes, mind, body, and soul, not just one. And when I talk about the soul and when I talk about mindfulness, it has nothing to do with religion, by the way. So if you're a religious family and you go to church and you pray, that's fine, but that's a completely different activity than what I am proposing. What I am inviting you to do is to go within and get to know you. You have a heart, you have lungs, you have kidneys, you have a body that is working in harmony for you, regardless of what God you pray to. God will be there and you can pray all you want. But besides that, you also put your shoes on, you also take a shower, you also brush your teeth. And this is the same. This is a very secular activity, is getting to know you and getting to appreciate you, who you are, and acknowledging the inner compass, which is part of us. It's as real as our nose and our ability to see or hear or breathe.
So true. And do children need a mystery? And if so, how do we preserve mystery without confusing it with certainty?
Mystery? Children need a mystery. I don't know. I don't know what you mean by mystery. I think I like to think children need magic, and I like to encourage them to believe that magic exists and they can make things happen, because I do believe that. And like I said, when I go to older kids, 10, 12 years old, they already lost that sense of, you know, they have magic inside, they can make things happen, they create with their minds. Like, no. And that's very sad. I think we all should have that sense of wonder and, yeah, the sense of magic that we can make anything happen. Things can turn around, because they can. And everything is very tied to our emotions and how we see the world, right?
Yeah, it's a part of imagination, I think, was the question, I guess. Like you said, being able to think of things outside, or being very creative, and being able to
Yes.
see where to picture things that maybe you wouldn't have if you didn't remember that wonder, I guess.
Yes. Yes. Well, so imagination for kids is very easy. I noticed that. I don't know if you work with kids, but when you're, it's just, oh, wow. Oh my God, it's so easy. For us adults, we start losing it. The older we get and the more we work in like regular environment, unless you're a creative person. And then again, but when you're a creative person, then creating is your job, it's your work. And now you're stressing because nothing comes up and you're on a deadline and you have to create and you have to. So you see how it's so important to be in movement and to play and to have less pressure. We're constantly in pressure and this need to show up and to perform, and then the mental yes, the pressure of.
Yeah, I think comparison is the thief of joy, kind of is.
But again, but see, if you are so confident, if you knew and trust that you got everything is okay, everything will work out for you. If nothing comes up now, today is not meant to be. We say this, but we don't really do it or practice or believe it or feel it. But if you could truly feel this way of being at ease and going with the flow, right? I mean, it would be such a much healthier experience. You still do the same thing. You still come up with, let's say you're a writer, because I see writers for shows, they always, I hear that people at Saturday Night Live, they stay up all night, they stay in the studio, like writing and fixing sketches. It's nuts, it's anyway, and it's all part of the pressure and having to deliver. So if you were the kind of person that says, all right, this is what we came up with, this is what it is, and it's okay. And if nothing came up today, that's okay too. It will tomorrow. It was not meant to be. It was not supposed to happen today. But I mean, how many of us can really do that? Nobody, pretty much. Everybody's like, you're on the deadline, you have to deliver, you have to create, you have to present, you have to, and that only creates more tension. And from tension, nothing good can come. So being mindful and practicing mindfulness, whether as a child or as an adult, will give you that flow, that ease, that peace, that groundedness that you need to do a better job at whatever it is you're doing.
And what is one thing you'd leave off if you wish every person could understand this about their child's inner world, what would it be?
Well, one thing I would like every parent and teacher to know is that your kid is extremely wise. They know a lot more than you think. They don't say it, they may not verbalize it, but they know, and they're like sponges. So by presenting this activity, you're giving them a bigger gift than you think. This is not as small as it seems. It is huge. By introducing mindfulness early on with your child, you're allowing their wisdom to take root, to continue to grow and expand. And it will create a wiser, calmer, and more grounded adult human being.
Thank you so much for that, Veronica.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And definitely go check out her YouTube channel.
Yes, please, Veronica Moya or Mindful V. If you look for Mindful V, I have lots of videos for kids to do and parents too and teachers. So yeah, check them out.